So with that said, we're looking at today's day one is the big interview, and I'm going to read this just a little bit, which is we're in the lively headquarters of Big Tech Olivia. Big Tech. Olivia, the recruiting manager, sat across from Anthony, a hopeful job candidate. The interview for the entry-level information technology support specialist position was in full swing, and Olivia had an intriguing scenario to present. This is again an example of me, we world, right? So we're looking at Anthony, first day on the job. The job is actually an information technology support specialist and working for a company called Big Tech. Because at the end of the day, we're here for the business, right? Although we may be doing different things in cybersecurity, we're here to support the business. It says, Anthony, you seem to really know your stuff, Olivia stated. Her demeanor welcoming yet professional. Are you ready for a little challenge? And Anthony, with a confident nod, replied, absolutely. I'm eager to tackle it. With a hint of excitement in her voice, Olivia set the stage. Great. Imagine you're working as IT support for Big Tech, and an employee approaches you with password problems. They can't seem to log into their computer. How would you approach this situation? So this is, again, first day, and Olivia's asking Anthony, how would he approach a scenario? So they're trying to problem solve this scenario here. So Anthony leaned forward, ready to dive into the scenario. Well, first things first, he began. I'd identify the issue in the case if it's the employee's inability to log in. Olivia nodded approvingly. That's correct. What would be your next step? With a thoughtful pause, Anthony replied, I suggest checking for typing errors. It's not uncommon for users to make mistakes when entering their passwords. I'd ask them to carefully check. If you can scroll down a little bit, Axel, please. She'd asked them to carefully check for uppercase, lowercase errors, and special symbols, and I'll pause here. So I guess most people are familiar with passwords, obviously, but anyone would like to come off mic and just briefly tell me what's the purpose of a password in an environment? Whether it's a professional environment or a casual environment, you're logging into AWS or YouTube or anything like that. What's the purpose of a password?
I feel like it's just
Um,
security, really.
oh yeah,
Good.
Okay,
Yeah, please, everybody just go in there. I think, was it Hussein? Hussein, I think
yeah,
I
yeah,
saw
yeah.
you
Oh
first.
well, it's
Go
just
for it.
help us to protect like our data and it's like security purpose as as I said.
Okay, very good. And was that Uchenna? I want to make sure I'm pronouncing the names properly. If I do, I apologize in advance. Just please point me in the right direction. I'll make sure I'll pronounce it the second time.
yes, you did. It just to ensure that you're the only one having access to the account.
Excellent. Anyone, let me check the chat log. We use that as well, too. So if someone is microphone shy, feel free to, yes, I see that. Damilo, Damilola. Damilola, sorry, gated to secure environment and to only access to a specific person. So great. So we're using the chat as well as microphone. This is fantastic. Agreed. So there's a term that's used in cybersecurity, which is to say that identity is the new perimeter, because in the quote unquote olden days, there was a perimeter around the facility where many of us had to go into a school, a business, and it was inside a building, and that building was the perimeter. Now, because of the remote workforce or remote access, cloudification of things, we're logging in from all over. And we need to do at least two things. One, identity assertion. We put a username and we have to put in a password. So this is why this is so big in terms of the first question from big interview or big tech is the password. We have users having trouble with their password. But this points to a larger issue, which is identity access and management. So one thing that we do when we log in is we assert to be a person. You put in your username and you do identity proofing by putting in the password. So that's why they're going through this process. And we'll continue to talk about identity being the new perimeter and also passwords. Now, that said, I just have a bit of supplemental information here as well. Let me just go ahead and share two quick things. So Axel, we may have to toggle back and forth if you don't mind in terms of sharing screens, because I want to share just the supplemental information here. Thank you so much for that. And I may boot you off, and maybe you boot me off, because I want to ask the class a question, and I see you can see that, which is passwords. Passwords, as mentioned, and it was Damilola, I think, mentioned it, and others as well. This is the backbone of information security. So we have some password best practices. It says, do not share your passwords with anyone. Never write your password down. Use a combination of uppercase and lowercase letters, numbers, and special characters. I'll share this as well with all the links that you see here. We'll share them either during the live session or as a wrap up after class. But I have a question for the class as well, and feel free to either come off mic, raise your hand, or you can put it in the chat. What else can we do to secure passwords? And by the way, this is what I call checking for understanding. There's no wrong answer here. Just want to get a sense if what comes to mind if you're thinking about
Maybe verification code.
that's it. Verification code. So back to the idea of developing and taking, thank you, Hussein, of having a shared vocabulary and having a common reference point. Exactly. So we call that either multi-factor authentication or two-step verification with the code, which is something you know, like a password, and something you have, which is a code, as Hussein mentioned, right? So there's a number of things we can do to strengthen passwords. These are some of the things we can do from an administrative perspective, but also from a technical control, we can enforce combination of uppercase and lowercase, but we can also enable multi-factor authentication. All right, so I'll share this as well. Let me just get a quick one on that. And while I'm here, and it's okay, let me see. I'm going to put this in there. What do you think are the most common passwords? I'm just going to do a quick quiz here, and I'll put that into the group chat as well. I'm over in Slack because we are multimodal here. We have a number of tool sets, which are awesome. 2FA, yes, change them often. So Tyler said two-factor authentication, correct? Jonathan, just a quick sense of, yes, it says, tell me if you can see that. Okay, look at that. So Sela says, what is, again, if the link is not working for you, I'm curious to know what do you think are the most common passwords in the world? I'll give that a moment for those to think this through. Let me see this here. This is good. See some more questions are coming in here. All right. Anybody getting the audio? Let me check my audio. Axel, do you hear any music playing by any chance?
Yep.
Okay, good. For those of you who are not familiar with this is the theme song from Jeopardy, which is a US-based game show, and it's just a countdown theme. I wanted to see if my audio was working. Thank you. Okay, excellent. So let's see what the answer is. So what is the most common password in the world? We have password 123456, QWERTY, let me in. So let's go ahead and take a look. Now this comes from a reliable source, NordPass. It's a company that does a number of things. I'm sharing this link not because it's a public service announcement for NordPass, because they talk a little bit about the methodology and the countries that the study was done. But more importantly, the number one password is 123456. It can be broken in less than a second and over 3 million breaches. And the reason why I share this is that if we know this now, who else knows this? Yes, thank you, Kelvin. Hackers, Adil said hackers, absolutely. So that's one of the things we'll talk about here. This is two sides of the same coin, which is although we're studying cybersecurity here and we're on passwords, which we'll move on in a moment, the idea here is that a lot of this is called open source intelligence, which is we can find out a lot about a lot of information as we study cybersecurity, but so can adversaries or hackers or malicious behaviors can find this information too. So that was the main theme of the first interview, the first day for Big Tech. We world it, which is it's Anthony, in the information security analyst role, working for big tech, talking about cybersecurity, and we talked about passwords. So I'm going to pass it back to Axel so that way we can go on to the next slide.
Can you check, friends, if you can control my screen from there by any
Oh, wow,
chance?
look at that. Let's see. I think you gave me, wow, look at this fancy stuff here.
Very cool.
No way. Am I doing that? I
Yep,
think
it's
so.
all
I
you.
don't see the advanced, but I think I can go on the bottom to see the advanced. Let's see.
If you don't see the advance, that's okay. I can.
No, no,
Just,
not that. Let's
yeah,
see if this
just right.
works. Okay, let's see. Hold on. Cool. Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. Okay, so fantastic class. Again, this is a perfect example of, we're going to make lemonade out of lemons, right? And this is a great example of moving forward. So in the interest of time, there's a discussion question here that's going to just, again, no wrong answer, but it essentially wants to get a sense of what do we think here. So I'll read the question and then give you a moment to put your answer. It says, Olivia and Anthony discuss various steps to take when troubleshooting password problems. Which of the following best reflects the importance of balancing security and user convenience in their conversation? Take a moment to look at the option set and answer a question that you feel comfortable with. Okay. I'll go to the first one. Anthony suggests ignoring the company's security policy to accommodate the user's preference for an easy password. In the interest of time, it doesn't sound like a good idea to ignore the company's policy, so I'm going to reject that one. Anthony, on second option, Anthony insists on verifying the user's identity before assisting them with account issues to maintain security. Seems like a
Yeah.
plausible answer.
Yes.
Yes, I like that one as well. So and thank you, Uchenna, for that. So this is one of those questions, and I agree with you. I like this one as well, and we're just going to continue for a variety of reasons. One, it's good to know the right answer, but it's also sometimes good to know why the other ones are not suitable. So we're going to continue, and another theme is sometimes these questions will ask you what's the best answer. So although this is a good answer, and I agree, this is the best one so far, you really have to make sure that is the best among the option set. So we're going to continue. But I agree, Jenna, this is a good one. Anthony advises the user to choose the easiest password to remember disregarding security policies. Yeah, not good, right? We're going to disregard and easy. There's a balancing act with security. And the next one is Anthony recommend using a common password for all users to avoid future lockout issues. Yeah, I don't remember a common password. We just saw a whole bunch of common passwords. We will reject that. I'm going to go with B, and this is great. Okay, fantastic. Thoughts, comments, questions before we move on to discovering IT and cybersecurity. All right. And again, by a show of hands, and it's like everyone has access to this information as well, right? So with the slide that we're presenting here, you also have access to it as well. I just want to get a sense, and you can get either thumbs up. I see all the twos have it. Everyone has access to this slide material. And Tyler has a question. In the passage, it says Anthony helps create the password. Would it be bad that Anthony knows his password? That's a great question, Tyler. The short answer is yes. It would be bad that Anthony knows his password. So from a cyber hygiene perspective, generally speaking, if you're at the service desk, and even when a user is typing in their password, we generally, from a help desk perspective, just look away and give them a moment of privacy while they type in the password. The idea is that the password is somewhat sacred. You should be the only person who will know the password. And then also, even if you did know the password, there should be two-step verification. So that way, even if somebody had the password, which is a knowledge factor, something you know, you still need to have a possession factor like a code, which was mentioned when we talked about that. Great question. Keep them coming. I like the energy. Fantastic. Great question. Okay. So discovering IT and cybersecurity, I want to start off with a quote, which is, wherever there is IT, there's a need for cybersecurity, which is back to my opening statement, which is CIO is there for technology, right? So we're going to increase revenues, decrease costs, and maximize efficiencies, digital transformation. As soon as we bring in a new technology into an environment, one of the first questions the cyber team is going to ask is, how do we secure it? So we want to say that wherever there's IT, there's a need for cybersecurity. Artificial intelligence, how do we secure it? We're putting in a new point of sale system. How do we secure it? We're looking at another piece of technology that's going to be a customer relationship management system. How do we secure it? So this slide is talking about discovering IT and cybersecurity. So let's take a quick look at that. Anthony walks into the sleek modern reception of big tech. He gulps nervously. Today is his first day as an entry-level IT support technician at Big Tech's IT department. He can feel the excitement and anticipation building as he approaches the reception desk. Hello, are you Anthony? The receptionist asks, flashing a warm smile. Yep, that's me, Anthony replies, offering a slightly nervous grin. I'm here for my first day. Must be exciting for Anthony. Let's all give Anthony a round of applause. His first day. Congratulations, Anthony. Welcome to Big Tech. He's excited. Great. Sarah from HR is expecting you. She's in the meeting room on the left. Just go on in when you're ready, the receptionist states. With a deep breath, Anthony makes his way to the meeting room, the door slightly ajar. He gently pushes it open to find Sarah, the HR representative, reviewing some paperwork. That's usually your first point of contact, as you would imagine, HR. Anthony, welcome to Big Tech. Sarah greets, shaking his hand. Excited for your first day? He says, absolutely. Anthony replies, feeling a mix of nerves and excitement. He has no idea what's going to happen, right? He says, let's dive in. Tell me, what do you think IT is all about? Sarah asked, encouraging Anthony to start from the basics. Anthony thinks for a moment. He says, well, IT is the backbone of any modern company. It's all about using technology, computers, networks, all that to handle information like sending emails, strong files, or even making sure our website stays up. So Anthony says a lot here. Everybody like his answer? Let's go to the chat log. Tell me if everyone likes his Anthony's answer about what is IT. Is there anything you would add to that, take away? Or you can just grade it and say, Anthony did a good job of that. Put a 5 in the live session chat if you think Anthony did a good job, thumbs up. Good, I see that. I'm gonna go out there and correct me if I'm mistaken, Sanjay. I see yours is there. Is it Sanjay Rex?
Yeah, it's just Sanjay.
Okay,
Sorry,
Sanjay.
I need to edit.
Good, just making sure. Okay, thank you. Agreed. So we have a lot of 5s. Kelvin says he did a good job for an entry-level IT. I happen to agree. I think Anthony did a great job. That's what IT is all about. We are here for the business, but we're here for information technology, digital transformation. Where there's a IT, there's a need for cybersecurity. And this is what IT is. We have a bunch of websites, we have emails, we have technology to enable the business move their initiative. Whether it's a small office, home office, mid-sized company, or an enterprise company, this is essentially what IT does. Okay, so exactly, Sarah Nas. She goes, as you grow here, you'll see how it connects to every department, from finance, back to the money thing we mentioned, to marketing, how do we promote our services? Everyone relies on IT. It is the backbone of any company. Now, Anthony, let's unravel a bit. How would you differentiate between IT, information security, and cybersecurity? And wow, that's a great question. So he says, IT is the big picture. Managing and using technology, information security is about protecting the info from being stolen or messed up. And cybersecurity, that's a more specific subset focused on protecting systems, networks, and programs from digital attacks. It deals with preventing, detecting, and responding to cyber threats. Anthony responds, I think that's a great answer as well. I want to give you a slightly different take on that as well. So let's see. I'm going to, and this is uncharted territory for me here too. So this is great. So Axel, I want to share my screen again. Does that mean you relinquish control, or do I have to switch on some aspect here?
I'm not sure, but yeah, I can stop
Okay, let's
sharing
see.
and then,
I appreciate that.
yeah, for sure.
Okay. I want to put a graphic on the screen, which I'm doing that momentarily. Okay. I know this is partly obscured, but if someone could put in the chat or say, what is this here? What are we looking at? What is this image? The product, to be more specific. Okay. Okay, I see it. The answer is correct. It's a vault, and the red and white, like this. See if we got that. I didn't want to do that. Nope, my bad. It's a soft drink, but what type of soft drink? Let me make sure. It's a famous one.
It's Coca-Cola.
Coca-Cola, yes. I'm not sure if anybody drinks Coca-Cola, but apparently Coca-Cola has a secret formula. And the secret formula is what made it a worldwide beverage for over 100 years. This secret formula is in a vault someplace. And the reason why I'm sharing it is to differentiate information security from cybersecurity. So information security is essentially making sure that the information itself stays secure in any aspect. For example, let's just say the secret formula for Coca-Cola is written on a piece of paper. That piece of paper is going to be secured into a digital vault, and we want to make sure that the information is secure. In other words, we want to make sure that there aren't any prying eyes on this information. Cybersecurity is protecting the digital form of that. If we were to take this formula and put it on a shared drive, let's say an S3 bucket, or we put it on some kind of Dropbox or Google Drive or a digital repository, we now need to put controls around this information, and that is going to be cybersecurity. We want to make sure there is no unauthorized access to this information. We want to make sure there are no unauthorized changes to this information, and we also want to make sure this information is available to us. So information security is basically securing data in any of its form, usually in the non-digital form. Cybersecurity is in the digital side of sharing information at a nutshell. And that's what Anthony was describing, where cybersecurity is a subset of information security. Information security is the higher level. Okay. Let me go back here. Just want to make sure I'm not missing any points there, Axel, and I appreciate this co-sharing process of this here. So that was Anthony's response. Sarah says, exactly. As you grow here, you'll see how it connects every department. He explains IT is the big picture, spot on. Anthony is an IT support specialist. You're on the front lines of all of this, meaning information security, IT, cybersecurity. You'll keep us and our tech running smoothly and safely. As you settle into your role here at Big Tech, you'll have the opportunity to delve deeper into these areas. We're here to support your learning and growth. Sarah explains with a reassuring smile. Anthony feels good. I feel good. I'm happy for Anthony. Now, feeling more at ease, Anthony looks forward to the journey ahead at Big Tech, ready to explore the vast world of IT and cybersecurity. Introduction to the CIA Triad. So we're going to get into our first level of definitions and getting a shared vocabulary. So we have CIA, and it doesn't stand for the Central Intelligence Agency, which is an intelligence agency in the US. It stands for the confidentiality, integrity, and availability of information. Long story short, and we're going to unpack that, confidentiality is to make sure there was no unauthorized access to the information. On the integrity, we want to make sure there are no unauthorized changes to the information. And the availability, we want to make sure this information, well, is around when we need it. So let me go ahead and get this going as well. And a couple of things to consider with the acronyms, and I apologize in advance because the cybersecurity industry has a lot of acronyms. It has a lot of 3-letter, 4-letter acronyms. So we're going to unpack one of the first ones that we'll talk about, which is the CIA Triad. So I'm going to, once again, ask Axel if you can release share capabilities. And I'm going to share my screen. This is awesome. We're going to go back to medieval times, castle times. So we have a castle here, Castle East and Castle West. And we have a raven that's carrying some information. And this raven is going back and forth, and it has, information in the clear, meaning that anybody can get it. And one of the things we want to make sure that there are no unauthorized changes or no unauthorized access to the data. So confidentiality is the first C in the CIA Triad, but guess what? There are malicious actors in between. So we see that this red teamer shot the bird. And for anyone who's worried, no birds were harmed in this animation. The bird is fine. But this is unauthorized access. So that's the confidentiality, making sure someone doesn't get access to it. This one here is integrity. There are no unauthorized changes. So the raven is going back and forth from Castle East to Castle West. This adversary or malicious actor goes in. It says, we attacked the red team at 10 a.m. What the adversary is doing here is changing this information. We called off the attack. This is called an integrity attack. This is a problem. Peace declared, we won. It's misinformation, disinformation. So that's what integrity is. And then we have what's availability, essentially a denial of service attack. Make sure we're denying the service. So now the adversary says, I don't want to change the information. I don't even want to read the information. I just want to make sure the bird doesn't get from Castle East to Castle West. So it shoots a barrage of arrows and the bird is, well, taken out. Once again, the bird is safe. It's all good. Life progresses. We fast forward 100 years, 200 years. Castle East and Castle West are now big buildings. And the adversaries, well, they're bigger and smarter now. And we call this an adversary in the middle attack, or sometimes a man in the middle attack, which is standing in between two endpoints or two distributions and trying to get all of this data. But we have tools at our disposal too, which is we can tunnel this information using things like VPNs, virtual private networks. So instead of going across in the clear, we can encrypt this data and we can, let's say, go underground. So we have a number of tools, and that really is the job, which is maintaining the confidentiality of information, no unauthorized access, integrity of information, no unauthorized changes, the availability, make sure there's no denial of service. In other words, the system is available or the information is available when we need it. We also have a couple of things to think about from the adversary perspective. So we call this the CIA Triad. There's also called the DAD Triad, which is what are the adversaries trying to do, or the red teamers. And when we say red team, again, I'll define these terms. There's disclosure attacks, which is I want to disclose this information in terms of a data breach. We have alteration attacks for integrity, which is we want to alter. For example, in financial services, if I can find out how much someone has in their bank account, that's a disclosure attack. They have 10 million. If I can do an alteration attack, which is I take 5 million out and now they're down, right? So we have changed the information. Or destruction, which is I don't want the data. I don't even want to know what the data is about. I'm going to destroy the data, or sometimes called a denial of service attack. To round out the CIA Triad, we have a number of tools. We being cybersecurity professionals or information security analysts, we have a number of tools in our toolbox, which we'll continue to talk about throughout the class, which is we have encryption. We can encrypt the data so that way it's scrambled and only people who have the encryption keys or the unlocking mechanism can see this data. We have a mechanism called hashing, which is it's a tamper-resistant mechanism. We can tell if data was changed by hashing it. And availability, we have a number of things called high availability. We have load balancers, we have redundancy, we have a number of things we can do to make sure that the data is available when we need it. This is actually, if we had to do a tweet, X, whatever your social media platform is, of what is cybersecurity and what is our job, we maintain the CIA Triad. If you're, especially if you're a blue teamer, which are the defenders of the galaxy, and you are a red teamer, if you are trying to destroy something. And that's it. We're a super team. I'm not sure if you're DC Comics or Marvel, but essentially, this is the team, this is the job, this is what we do in terms of CIA Triad. Everybody up for the job? Everybody excited for the job? Okay, all right. So I know we've been at this for a while. Let me take a break here. Literally take a break, which is, let me get rid of our guy here. And I'd like to go back to the slide, if we don't mind. Axel, yes, thank you. And that's the CIA Triad, which is the confidentiality, integrity, and availability of information. We've been at this for about 52 minutes. I'm thinking it may be time to take a 5-minute break in about a couple of minutes. But before we do, I'd like to open it up for just general check-in, general questions, a pulse check, and give anybody an opportunity for points of clarification, questions, so on and so forth. Okay, look at this. All right. Okay, so I guess we'll move on to, we'll take a break in a moment, but before we do, just take a minute or so to discussion question, defining cybersecurity. How would you define cybersecurity in your own words? Why do you think it's important in today's digital world? Remember, there is no wrong answer here. Take a minute to think about it, a minute to put it in, and that'll take us to the 5-minute mark before the hour, and then we're going to take a 5-minute break. So I'm going to give you a time to think about this here, and I'll just be here waiting patiently. Okay. Judging by a quick scan here, it looks like folks have put in their answers. No wrong answer here. Cybersecurity, as mentioned before, is the digital protection of information, primarily focusing on the CIA Triad. We want to maintain the confidentiality, no unauthorized access, the integrity, no unauthorized changes, and the availability of information. Keep it clean, that's the integrity. Keep it secure or keep it secret, that's the confidentiality, and keep it available. That's our job in the essence, and it's critical to make sure that we maintain that separation so that way we can have privacy in our areas. So that's the job. That's my definition. Yours may be slightly different, but that's okay. And we are 5 minutes before the hour. So Axel, I'm thinking we put a 5-minute timer on. People, I highly recommend that we get up, stretch, and we'll be back in 5. Make sense? Okay, excellent. So we'll be at the top of the hour. The reason why I'm not giving a specific time is because I realize we're at different time zones, but if you are using the Eastern time zone, which is where I am at. Actually, technically, I'm not. I'm actually in Arizona at the moment. But anyway, we'll be back in 4 minutes. See you at the top of the hour. Hear that? I'll continue forward. Okay. Yeah, yes, thank you for that, Axel. Okay. So let's go on to step 6, exploring career opportunities, which is later, Anthony finds Jenna, a network administrator, in the break room. During their break, they sat down for a chat about all the different jobs you can have in IT and cybersecurity. Jenna, who has extensive knowledge in the field, was eager to share. So let me scroll down a little bit. Understanding the landscape. Back to the me, we world thing we were talking about. Again, the industry, cyber, the company, the role. You, how do you fit into that role? So, understanding the landscape. Think of it like a tree, Anthony. Jenna starts with an analogy. IT is the trunk, and all of these different jobs in cybersecurity, excuse me, and other areas are like branches. You can go in many directions, from protecting networks as a security analyst to managing the whole system as a CISO. Anyone happen to know what the acronym CISO stands for? I'm just curious. No way either way, and just want to get a sense. This is checking for understanding. I see someone is typing. Alexander's good. Okay, I'm here. Chief Information Security Officer. Thank you, Jonathan. That's correct. The Chief Information Security Officer. So in my role, I used to have a CISO report into me. The Chief Information Security Officer is the highest level ranking officer from a cybersecurity perspective. And they report, and we both report into senior leadership. And the reason why, just pointing this out, this may have an effect on what career path you may want to be. CIO is dealing with IT, like I have a service desk, I deal with classroom technology, I deal with software development. Cybersecurity, Chief Information Security Officer, is dealing primarily with the cybersecurity or securing those assets. So that's what I'm sorry, Jenna is alluding to or referring to as the CISO. And the reason why I say this again for another reason is that we try to define the acronyms at least once when we speak here. If I overlook it, let me know, because the point of this course is to get on a shared vocabulary. And anytime that we're speaking to someone outside the family, meaning outside the cybersecurity industry, it's usually helpful to define the acronym at least once, especially if you're speaking to someone who doesn't understand this as well. So we can throw a number of acronyms, and we started already. I can say CIA Triad and CISO. They don't know what that is. So we want to make sure that from a professional development perspective, we're defining these terms. But that said, Anthony says, that sounds exciting, but how do I move from IT support to, say, cybersecurity? Anthony inquires with curiosity. Jenna smiles. It's all about building on what you know. Your role in IT support is giving you a solid foundation. I agree. You're learning how technology works here, understanding systems and networks. This knowledge is your stepping stone and more specialized roles. That's great advice. We are here for the business. Learning technology is good. Wherever there is technology or IT, there's a need for cybersecurity. So understanding the technology prepares you for more roles in cybersecurity. Anthony, every job here is special and has its own challenge. Let's explore some of them more closely, including your current position, she said, sipping her iced coffee. I'm going to be in solidarity with Jenna. I'm going to have some of my iced coffee also, because I really want to get immersed into this situation here. I'm really getting jazzed about this. Okay. Curious, Anthony stated. What does a cybersecurity analyst do? It sounds like a detective job. She says, you've got it. A cybersecurity analyst watches our computer systems and look for signs of hackers, something we call sense and detect. As a security operations center or a security operations analyst, a SOC analyst, we're trying to sense and detect. We have these sensors out there on our environments, and when something is detected, we have to react to it. An alarm goes off. So that's what Jenna is referring to, like a detective job. So what about what I do as an IT support technician? Anthony pointed to himself. Your job is super important. As an IT support technician, you're the first person people go to when they have a problem with their computers. You fix things, update software, and make sure everything works well, Jenna replied. It's a critical role. First person, first point of contact. Okay. Anthony was curious about Jenna's job too. Are you a network administrator, right? And what's that like? Jenna smiled. Yes, I am. As a network administrator, I set up and look after the company's computer networks and make sure they work well and are safe. It's a lot about solving problems and know how everything in our technology is connected. This is something we call data in flight. When you have data, it could be at rest, meaning it's sitting on your phone. I have my phone over here. It could be sitting on our computers, on our hard drives. It's sitting, so it's at rest. When it moves from one endpoint to another, we call that data in motion. It's very similar to the Raven going from Castle East to Castle West. So as a network administrator, one of the things is to manage data flows as it goes from one location to another. And that's what Jenna's job do. She's part of the network administration team, something called the NOC, Network Operations Center. And once again, we'll come back with all these terms. I'm just getting them part of our vocabulary because once we really get into speaking in acronyms, it really speeds up the conversation, but it only helps if we have laid the foundation. So that's what she does as a network analyst. Then they talked about more advanced jobs in cybersecurity. I've heard about ethical hackers, Anthony said. This is like being a pen tester. Ethical hackers are people who actually are given permission to break into systems to see where we are vulnerable or what are the points of entry, also called vectors. What's the angle that I can get into an environment? So yes, ethical hackers are usually hired so that way we can find out about those things. Non-ethical or unethical hackers are, well, adversaries. They're just hacking into our systems. Exactly, Jenner explained. Penetration testers are ethical hackers. They try to break into our systems on purpose to find weak spots, also known as vulnerabilities, before bad guys do. They need to be creative and really understand how hackers think. And the ones who built our computer defenses, Anthony wondered, those are the security engineers, Jenner answered, blue teamers. They make and look after systems that keep our data safe. They're always using the newest technologies to fight off hackers. And that's the cat and mouse game. What happens when there's a problem? Like a hacker gets in, Anthony looked concerned. That's when the IR, the incident responders, come in, Jenner said. They jump in fast to fix things and stop the hackers. They have to think quickly and keep calm under pressure. Anthony was also curious about the bosses in cybersecurity. Who's in charge of all of this? Well, this will be the CISO. As we mentioned before, that's like the big boss of cybersecurity. And they make all the decisions and, well, the decisions stop at their office. And who gives advice on cybersecurity? There were security consultants. So you can partner with third party. So you're not in this alone. There's a lot to discuss, a lot to discover. So you can have your teams like the CISO, you can have your chief information officer, and we can partner with third parties. And these are the security consultants. Lastly, Anthony saw a report on the table about rules and asked, who makes sure we follow all the rules? And she goes, the security auditors, Jenna concluded. These are outside firms. You can have internal auditors or you can have outside firms. Just hold on 1 second, folks. I just have a quick interruption, takes me less than a second. As I mentioned, I'm traveling at the moment. Actually, I'll be back in 2 seconds. Thank you, everyone. Appreciate the patience. It was, well, housekeeping came at the time. And although it says come back later, I guess they were eager, just like we all are, eager to move forward. I get it. Okay, so we have the CISO, as mentioned. There are security consultants. We have auditors. Auditors make sure that what I call is walk the walk. So I've been doing a lot of talking here, and we call that talking the talk. We say we do these things, confidentiality. Auditors make sure that we can do that. So they will go in, they being the auditors, and say, we see you have all of these procedures in place. Let's test it. Let's see if this stuff really works. So there were different roles in there. And we have an interactive map that we can take a look at. And I'm going to show you what that looks like from a variety of spaces here. So Axel, if we can swap share capabilities. And I'll take my share. And one of the things I'll bring up is the interactive map first. I have another one as well. Okay, so let's take a look at a couple of these. And I'll put this in the log as well. So there's an interactive cybersecurity career map where you can take a look at different types of jobs. And this one is focused on the US region. And I realize some of you may be in other regions, but I just defaulted it to this region. But you can take a peek as well, and I'll go ahead and put that into, oh, that's fine. Jonathan, no worries about the caps. We'll take the information in the way that it comes in here. So I'm going to go to Texas, just randomly. I'm picking up Texas, and it shows me some positions here. It says, oh, okay, IT cybersecurity specialist, InfoSec, information security. In Irving, Texas, this is the minimum salary, this is the maximum salary, and it goes in, and you can click into the specific role and learn a little bit more about it. What does it require? They also have other vacancies and so on and so forth. Clearly, this is not something we can dive into deeper during this session, but we wanted to call this to your attention about this interactive map in terms of jobs and their regions. There's another one to say, hey, well, okay, this is interesting. What do I have to do to get prepared for this position? So we have a cybersecurity career pathway as well. So I'm going to take this link as well and put that into the Slack chat message, so you can see that as well. And let's just say, for argument's sake, we're going to start from the ground level, starting level, cybersecurity specialist. And this is when Jenna was explaining, I'm sorry, Sarah was explaining to Anthony about IT and cybersecurity is like the trunk of a tree. So let's say you wanted to be a cybersecurity specialist. So you're starting at an entry level. If you branch out, you have cybersecurity analyst, you can be a consultant, you can be a penetration tester or vulnerability tester, sometimes called a red teamer. So back to the roles we were looking at, you can be a consultant, work for a company like PricewaterhouseCoopers, and then you have different aspects. And then if I dive deeper into this at advanced level, if you want to go to the management level, you have a cybersecurity manager, you can be an engineer or a solutions architect where you design and offer solutions, and you can dive deeper into the aspects of this. Now, the skills and certifications, you can click on this to learn a little bit more, and it tells you what are some of the certifications that will help enable or power these roles. And you see a number of them here where the CISP, the Certified Information System Security Professional, is the top order. And then you have some entry level, which is the CompTIA Security Plus. Now, this one here, look at the pathways from the Sec Plus, and short for Security Plus certification. It leads into many of these job titles. These do too. So you see there are a number of pathways to get into this. And some are, as you go up the stack, the certification stack, they have different pathways. But the Security Plus is a entry level, but also a very important certification. And wanted to share this CyberSeek so you can get a sense of what that looks like and play with this. And when I say play with it, explore it at your leisure. So put two links into the Slack, which is CyberSeek and also the USA Jobs, but it doesn't have to be USA Jobs. As you know, there are other regions that you can explore. Okay. Once again, I'll pause here for thoughts, comments, ideas, but this is one way that you can learn a little bit more about the industry, the role, and your pathway, or how you will contribute or slide into that role and what's required to get into that role. All right.
Just wanted to test something out, friends.
Yes,
So
please, Axel.
it looks like we both can share at the same time. So I'll just leave this one as is, and whenever you want to jump in, you can go ahead.
How awesome is Axel, everyone? That is super awesome. We are taking Zoom to its maximum limits here. I love it. This is fantastic. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. All right. So this is good. If anyone's having trouble, as you can imagine, thank you, Chenny. I agree. So this is going to make the flow There are these meeting tabs and share tabs, and this gives us the opportunity to go back and forth. So if you see what we're sharing back here, which is the pathways to specialization, this is essentially the same links that we were looking at. And if I expand this as well one more time, because this is something I'm sure you may want to visit either repeatedly or go back and forth. Let's see, I have my cyber jobs. Okay, yep, this is good. One more. Yes. Okay, no, I think we covered the links that we wanted to link. Okay, so yes. So we're in good shape. This screen here will give you a little bit more into the different pathways. This is just more of a mind map version of it in terms of the cybersecurity domains, different ways that you can look at the maps of cybersecurity domains and pathways you may want to explore. So looking at this from a mind map perspective, the jobs by region, and also the different pathways, and the links are in the Slack bot as well. Okay. Let me see if this is going to let me go back to where I need to go to course materials, and there's a nice big X, which I think I did the wrong thing here. Sorry about that. Axel, if get me back on track here. I X'd out when I should have thank you, sir. It says hang tight, and this is working out well. So we're going to move on to, this was the landscape. We're going to move on to phishing and cyber across corporate departments. So as you see, Anthony's having a nice trajectory, a nice path of his development here. So we're moving with a number of things, which is phishing. And I realize this is more of a checking for knowledge type of thing. I use a lot of terms here. Sometimes they're defined beforehand, during, or maybe after. Anyone know what phishing is or have an experience with phishing or what it means? I'm
Yes,
looking at,
when
yes,
we
Tyler.
receive some mails, when we receive some mails from unauthorized people, and we shouldn't click on the attachments.
Agreed, Munish. Yes, we get impersonated emails from someone asking us to think, do, or behave in a way that we shouldn't think, do, or behave, right? I also see that it's a scam. Yes, so it's a type of cyber attack by emails. That is a common threat vector. Correct emails. You can also do this by text message, but email is one of the more popular ones. It's a scam. Mikhail said scam emails, correct. Jonathan B says a method of attack via email by disguising them as authentic. Yeah, these are all great answers. And more. So this is great. Exactly right. So basically, they're impersonation attacks. Somebody claiming to be something that they're not, asking us to do something that we shouldn't. These are phishing attempts, and they have a number of targets. So as Anthony and Jenna walked out of the break room, Anthony's mind buzzed with possibilities. He felt a renewed sense of purpose as an IT support technician at Big Tech. Now more than aware of the vast and dynamic landscape of cybersecurity. Now, how cyber affects all departments. On a sunny afternoon, a few weeks after their enlightening conversation, Anthony found himself assisting the marketing department with a peculiar email issue. Hey, Anthony, greeted Lisa. The head of marketing, we've got this weird email that's asking for our login details. It looks like it's from our CEO, but something is off. Anthony's training kicked in. He recognized this as a potential phishing attack, which we just described. Someone impersonating, pretending to be someone that they're not, asking people to do something that they shouldn't. A common and dangerous type of cyber threat. He remembered Jenna's words about every department relying on cybersecurity, understanding now more than ever how it was an integral part of any organization safeguarding data and operations across various departments. Let's take a closer look. Anthony said, his eyes narrowing with focus. He examined the email with Lisa, pointing out the subtle signs that it was a phishing attempt. the slightly odd email address, urgent language, pushing for quick actions, and the request for sensitive information. So that's correct. So they look like they're figuring this out, which is their spider senses are tingling, which is to say that something seems odd about this message. So let's go ahead and do a couple of things here, which is I'm going to take a look at, can you spot the fish? Okay, so this is something that you may see in an environment. And let's see if I can do this as well. Axel, you said maybe I can. Oh, you are right. Thank you, kind sir. I think this is going to work. Yes. So I'm sharing, can you see that, Axel? Okay, excellent. And Axel raised his hand. Is that a raised
Yeah,
hand for a
just
question?
yeah, no, just wanted to let the learners know that if y'all are seeing my screen, you just need to kind of go up in Zoom and then just select Fran's screen, if that makes sense. If y'all are like having trouble, you can let me know in the live chat.
Yes, thank you for that, Axel. So there's a number of tabs in Zoom. There's a meeting tab and there's screen share tabs. One of them is Axel's, the other one is mine. So if you're still seeing, as Axel mentioned, my tab will be either to the right of that. But what you should see is, can you spot the fish? Can anyone see that? I just want to get it. Okay, Axel can see
Yeah,
it.
we can see it. Yeah,
I
yeah.
can see.
Appreciate it. So this is something that we will do called cyber awareness training, cybersecurity awareness training, or CAT training. And we will put this around places where employees gather, usually by the copy machine, the print machine, the break room. And it says a fish. Some are easy to spot, others are not. But here's some guiding principles. Never send your password or personal information in response to an email. This is the part of doing something we shouldn't. Be cautious when clicking on unknown links, as mentioned in the chat or on the microphone, which is don't click on the attachments because they could be malicious software or malware. Learn how to recognize internet scams, which we're going to try out in a moment, and deleting spam immediately without opening it, which is if something is bad, we're going to get rid of it. Some places have different policies because the service desk or the security operations center may want to examine it. So we're going to do an exercise here. We're going to actually go through a process where we actually try and spot a fish. So let me just get that for us in a moment. And we're going to do this as a group exercise. And it should be on your slide deck as well. It's called the fishing quiz. Can you spot when you're being fished? And we're going to take the quiz. And you're going to create a name and email. This is completely for the purpose of tutorial. This is not real. So I'm going to put my name in there. And I'm going to make up a fictitious email address. I'm going to be the1@example.com. That's going to be my email address. You can use any one you want. This is so you can get a sense of what the quiz will look like. So we're going to get started. And the idea here is the same scenario that Anthony is in, where they're examining emails supposedly from the CEO, but you get a ton of these on a regular basis. And the idea is, can we spot them? So let's start with this Google Doc email. It says, be sure to check out link URLs by hovering or using long presses and to explore the email address. Don't worry, none of the links will work. We don't want to send you anywhere funny. So we have to look at this here and determine if it's a phishing attempt or legitimate attempt. And let's just take a moment and take a look at this here. So one, we see Luke Johnson at Gmail. He shared a Google Doc with us. We get this at the service desk or the security operations center, and we have to give this an up or down vote. Meaning, is it legitimate? Would be an up vote. Is it a phishing attempt? Is it a down vote? This is just for fun. So feel free to share your answer. We're going to do this on consensus. If you think this is a phishing attempt, put a 0 or a thumbs down. If you think it's legitimate, put a 1 or a thumbs up. And let's take a look at this. It says Luke Johnson, Luke.json 8000 at Gmail has invited us to edit the following document. Here's the doc. It's the 2025 department budget. Luke is the owner. What does everyone think? Is this legit or not? Boy, I'm getting zeros. I'm getting legits. I got a couple of here. I get fish.
It's a
Okay.
fish.
You're going to go with fish? Okay.
There's a
The
fish.
fishes have it. I'm going to go with the fishes. Just quickly, those who said this is a fish, what makes you think it's a fish?
I'm going to say his last name in his email is different to his surname.
Yeah, I would agree with that. The surname is not really aligning with the JSON is not really Johnson. It's close. The 8,000, I don't know, it just doesn't feel right. And I generally are leery of Gmail accounts, um, especially in a corporate environment. I may or may not know Luke Johnson. Okay, let's go ahead and fish. And it says correct. This is a phishing email. And part of it is because of what was mentioned. The alignment here wasn't working. Mousing over using long presses shows you the insecure domain like drive.google. That's another issue. This is an enticement because we like to know things that we shouldn't know. So we see the 2025 department budget. It makes us go, I wonder how much they're spending in marketing and research, right? So this is an enticement. This is something to get me to click. Okay, time to mix things up. Ooh, freebies. We all like freebies, right? A free blender is a pretty good survey incentive. It's coming from Coca-Cola. Oh, Coca-Cola. I tipped my hand. It's coming from Coca-Cola. It gives me this URL here. It says, answer and win a brand new portable blender and juicer. Could be yours simply by clicking on the Getting Started Now button. So the question, once again, if this is a phishing attempt, put a thumbs down or a 0 in the chat. If you think this is legit, put a 1 or a thumbs up. And do we think this is good? Portable blender and juicer. Excellent. No one's buying the free blender thing. I get it. All right. Michael says a thumb down. All right. Let's see. Let's see what we get here. Time to mix things up. I'm going to agree. This looks sketchy to me for a couple of reasons. Go ahead, Uchenna. Why do you think it's sketchy?
Yeah, I feel it's legit.
Yes. I don't like this part here. I feel if Coca-Cola was sending something, they would use something more Coca-Cola branded. And I tend to be
Yeah.
skeptical. Amos, you agree?
Yeah, I agree. If Coca-Cola is sending it, they need to use something like more like Coca-Cola.
Agree.
I think their personal website.
Also, I don't believe people want to give me free things. I'm a little bit more on the skeptical side of things, but maybe they do. Let's go with the phishing. And you guys are right. The scam was a real blend of techniques. We must have spotted them. It says, go ahead and show me. The email claims to be from Coca-Cola, but sending address is very random. Not impossible for legitimate email, but a sign. Agreed. This is guidelines here. This is not necessarily always a red flag, but I agree. This doesn't look right to me. It says the content, even in the text, is all an image. When used in legitimate communications, this technique is used to avoid detection. So they're basically using an image because you can't really scan or screen the image from an email detection perspective. So the image, unless you're using optical character recognition or artificial intelligence, which is getting better now, they're putting a lot of the enticement in an image and not in words. We can analyze words better. We can do images, at least earlier days. And then the URL. The URL is trying to point us in a place that's going to take us to a place we shouldn't be in. So we can take a look at the URL, and the URL tells us it's going to get us started now. That's okay if we were to click on it because this is a simulation. Okay. Okay, this is a very common one. Yikes, how did they get your PayPal login? Those gift card scammers are the worst. So this is supposed to be from PayPal saying, hey, they got your PayPal login. You need to log in, and it says billing department, service at paypal.com. This looks kind of interesting. It says, here's my invoice. Billing department sent me an invoice for $600. I don't want to be out of $600. Due on receipt. It says amount requested. Note from seller. It says, this is evidence that your PayPal account has been accessed unlawfully. This looks pretty authentic and official. It says, view and pay invoice. Should I click?
No.
Same thing applies. Monish, go ahead. I'm sorry if we were coming off mic.
So basically, this is not belonging to us, and why would I go and click on it and to pay for this?
I like it. Let's see, what's the verdict here? Let's see, what do we have here? Let me just take a quick peek. Michael said it's worth the risk for a blender. I get it. Why would Coca-Cola have a blender? Great question. Tyler, looks legit. Fish, Kelvin says this one's a fish with PayPal. It says legit. The email looks correct. So this is tricky. And let me just give you my personal thought about this here is if I get an email from PayPal or anybody from my healthcare provider, banking, financial institution, anything, I'm not going to click on the email that they send me. I'm going to go to the platform itself directly and check to see if everything looks fine. In other words, if my bank says my account was hacked, click here to check your status. I will not do that. I will go to my banking website, log in with my credentials, two-step verification, and check my account that way. Even if they look good, this could be interesting because it looks like it's a PayPal domain. It may not be. Let's see what this says here. Billing from invoice. There's other ways we can do this here. I'm going to reject this one and say it's a phishing attempt because I don't trust my platform. Platforms usually don't do this, by the way. They say there's been a status change. Log into your platform to verify the change. They don't send the change over to you. Healthcare providers do this. You go to the platform itself to check it. So even if I got something that looked pretty legit, I would still go to the platform itself. So this one here is a fish. It says this message is actually a note from the seller. The scammers created a false sense of urgency, a common technique to trick users into action. So a lot of this can be scammed, but the idea is anytime someone's asking you for money, to divulge information, take an action that you shouldn't, you can go to the platform itself, not the email that they're trying to send you to. Okay, one more to drive this point home. And it says, uh-oh, looks like you're out of storage. I wonder what it costs to upgrade. Okay, this one says Dropbox. Your Dropbox is full, syncing files. It says no reply. This looks pretty legit. Dropbox mail, maybe. Okay, it says my Dropbox is long to sing. Upgrade your Dropbox. So based on this, what do we think? Phishing or legitimate? Okay, I'm getting legits. I get these all the time. Legit. Tyler says, wait, this is good. Tricky one, but looks legit. I like it. All right, class, we did well on this. Correct, this is legitimate. Same philosophy applies though. I would log into Dropbox properly. In other words, I'd go to dropbox.com. I would see if I was out of space, and then I would go back and say, wow, this is interesting. This was good, and this helps us. So not everything is a scam. Otherwise, we wouldn't rely on email. It says the legitimate Dropbox, the sender is dropboxmail.com, which is unusual, but legitimate. And there's a variety of ways that we can check this. And later on in the course, I'll show you some websites that can tell you if it's a friend or an enemy on detecting these. Okay, nicely done, nicely done. And we did this as a team because cybersecurity is a team sport. All right, so let me see if I got this part here, and I'm going to stop my share. Actually, I can actually go back to meeting and use the Excel provided solution, which works well, at least for me as well. I'm going to go back to Excel screen. And you should do the same as well. I have control capabilities. This is super helpful. And we just completed the phishing quiz. Moving forward, we see that Anthony's role has evolved. He has become the go-to person for cybersecurity advice, helping employees across departments understand and navigate the complexities of digital security, which is what we just went through. We were just sharing some best practices in our approach for managing phishing emails. Can you spot a phish email? Let's go ahead and take a quick look. More on cyber across departments. We have a number of departments that are responsible for different roles and functions. As mentioned, we are here for the business, meaning we're here to support the business to increase revenues, decrease expenses, maximize efficiencies. Some departments, for example, HR, human resources, they protect sensitive employee data and compliance with data protection laws. They have a number of databases and will be targets for phishing attempts. Finance deals with, well, the money, right? And if, let me just see if you can kindly go on mute. Thank you, anyone who's there. Thank you, appreciate that. Finance deals with, well, finances, the monies coming in and out. They are also targets as well. Encryption is our tools that we could use. Yes, question. Amos, yes, please, go ahead.
Yeah, the screen has not changed yet. My screen has not changed.
Your screen hasn't changed?
Yeah.
So there should be 3 tabs in your Zoom, and I can guide you through that. So there's a meeting tab, there's my screen, and there's also Axel's screen. And if you click on Axel's tab, you should see 8 more on cyber across departments.
Okay, I see. Okay. Oh, good now. Yeah,
Okay,
thank you.
excellent. Glad to hear it. Anyone else having and this is a great example of how we can, work in real time. Uchenna, do you have a question as well?
Yeah, I can't seem
Okay,
to see where you are at the
sure.
moment.
So 3 tabs on Zoom. On the top part, you should see one that says Axel 2. There's one that says a meeting tab. That's a picture of everyone on the meeting call, and then you should see my
Yeah,
screen. I
yeah,
tell you what, I
okay.
can do this here. This might make it easier. Can you see it now?
I can see accent to,
Here's what you should see, and everyone should see is number 8, more on cyber across departments.
yes, I can see.
Okay, excellent. So this slide here is speaking to the different departments on almost any organization, whether again, it's a small office, mid-sized company, or an enterprise global company. You're going to have an HR department. They deal with employee information. We need to safeguard that. Finance. This is the monies, purchasing equipment, paying salaries, dealing with contractors and vendors. We want to make sure we keep their information secure. Operations, there's usually a facilities or an operations. These are the folks who are making sure that there's, if you're in the cold weather, there's snow removal. If there is rain, they have the walk-on mats to make sure that the lobby doesn't get too soiled. So they deal with operations, building maintenance. We have sales and marketing. We have to advertise. These folks protect customer data and intellectual property. Also, you have research and development. What's the next product that we're going to do? What's the next course we're going to offer? What's the next service we may enable? So this keeps innovation and product design. So these are key data points that adversaries may want to get access to. Then we have legal, which is our law side of the fence, which is to make sure that we are, one, in compliance, but we also have sensitive documents as well to make sure that we are in compliance, but we also may have trade secrets or intellectual properties. And then you have the senior leadership team, executive leadership. This is the C-suite, the CEO, the chief financial officer, the chief operating officer, the chief information officer, the chief information security officer, hence the C-suite. These are the team that directs and manages the firm. All of them deal with data in different ways. From a cybersecurity perspective, we have to make sure that we secure the data and understand how and why adversaries would be interested in this data. This is usually your emergency response team, and these are the team members who will deal with a cyber breach if there was a big cyber breach. So you get members of IT, human resources, finance, of course, the executive leadership team, legal, into a room, a situation room, and deal with the cyber event. So the key takeaways: a holistic approach. Cybersecurity is essential aspects for all departments. In other words, we're here for the business. We're here to support the business and protect the business. We need to make sure we are in compliance with any kind of regulatory concerns in our environment. And we also want to make sure we maintain the forward momentum of that industry. And of course, we're going to invest in training and technologies. Back to the sign that I showed, which is, can you spot a fish? Cybersecurity is not just for the cyber or information technology teams. It's everybody plays a role. Because if we were to send a phishing attempt, and let's say an adversary was to send a phishing attempt, and someone clicked through that, we could all be at risk. And all of these departments and others are targets of phishing attempts. Okay, I'll step forward, move next. And if we're all in alignment, is what we should see. Should be, well, it didn't get there yet. So let me make sure I can still do the control. I'll try it here. And we are now moving to the legalities of cyber. Because one of the teams that we have here is the legal team. So the legalities of cyber. 9, and everyone should see 9 at this point. Let me just do a quick check-in. Okay, all good on your end. This is all right, awesome. Here's a demo, not working. All right. Just making sure all is well here. Okay. So we're going to introduce GRC, which is, let me scroll up. There we go. Introduction to Governance, Risk, and Compliance. So Anthony's by the way, this is Anthony. He's kind of progressed here. He's been with the team for a little while, as we know previous. He's been here for several months now. Now, during a team meeting, the CISO, the Chief Information Security Officer, discussed the importance of governance, risk, and compliance. So let's look at this here. Governance includes the policies and processes that ensures our IT systems support align with the operational goals. This is what I call, we are here for the business. We want to be aligned to make sure we have a process that is in alignment with the objectives of the business. The risk management is about understanding, analyzing, and addressing risks to keep our operations smooth and safe. This is the risk management. We have a number of things, and we'll talk about this in more detail, but there's a number of things we can do with risk. One of them is we can accept the risk and say, we understand the world is a challenging place. We're going to accept the risk. We can mitigate the risk, which is risk reduction. We can take steps to minimize our risk, or sometimes we can transfer the risk. We can say, you know what, we're going to let someone else deal with this, either through insurance, or we can say, we're not going to hold it, we're going to host it, let's say, on Amazon Web Services. Rather than run the service on our systems, we're going to run it someplace else. So risk management, and then there's compliance, which is we need to be in compliance with regulatory agencies on how we're handling the data. I'll give an example. There's something called the Payment Credit Card Industry Data Security Standards, PCI DSS. There are a number of credit card transactions and rules on how you handle customer data. So there are regulatory concerns and rules around PCI DSS. If we're doing e-commerce and handling credit cards, we have to make sure we are in compliance with those rules. Healthcare has one also. In the US, there's something called HIPAA, and HIPAA is a Healthcare Portability Act. We want to make sure that we're in compliance with that. Okay, so diving deeper into the regulatory frameworks, after the meeting, Anthony dedicated himself to learning more about these regulations and frameworks. He understood that big tech, like all organizations, was subject to various legalities and regulations in cyber. Compliance was not just a matter of ethics, but a legal requirement. Now, this is important from Anthony's perspective, because if you are out of compliance, you could lose your ability to operate. So not only are we trying to secure data, but we also want to make sure that we are in compliance, PCI DSS being one of them. And there's a number of rules, and we don't have to get into the specifics, but if you're over $10 million, let's say over a certain number, you have to be audited and have certain type of controls. Now, collaborating across departments for GRC, this is again, governance, risk, and compliance. This addresses and works with all of the departments we mentioned before. So the finance team has to make sure that they're doing the risk management piece of this, as we talked about, and we want to make sure we are minimizing risk. We are transferring risk where we need to. If we are going to accept the risk, we can sometimes just say, okay, we'll deal with it. In other words, we'll take it as is. HR has to deal with that, and we also want to make sure we are in compliance. The evolution of the cybersecurity professional. Anthony's journey into GRC was challenging but rewarding. He became a bridge between IT department and the rest of the company. Once again, we are here for the business. We are ambassadors, ensuring that everyone understood the importance of cybersecurity, compliance, and risk management. His role was crucial in helping big tech navigate the complex landscape of legalities and regulations in cyber. That phishing incident that we looked at had seemed like a crisis at the time, had opened the door to broader understanding of cybersecurity. And the reason why this became a broader concern is because despite all the technical controls we can put in place, there's something that is really easy from an adversary perspective is targeting our staff members, which is getting them to think, do, and act in a way that they shouldn't think, do, or act. And the phishing, as we described, is someone who's impersonating as someone and then having the recipient or the target to do something. So now Anthony sees, wow, this is really concerning that we can put all this technology in place, but if somebody clicks on a URL or does one of the things that were in the phishing attempts, we could put our company at risk and we could be out of compliance because of this incident. Okay, let's go ahead and I'm going to move on to discussions. A discussion question. Legal fields in cybersecurity. Cybersecurity extends to various areas such as legal, privacy, ethical considerations, and intellectual property. Let me just quickly define IP or intellectual property. Intellectual property is usually a protected asset. For example, the Coca-Cola formula is an intellectual property. It's something that is not a physical asset, but it's what makes Coca-Cola Coca-Cola. They have a specific formula, and we want to make sure that we protect that. Now, how do we think these fields intersect with cybersecurity, and why are they important? Let's take about a minute and a half to think through this question, and also provide your answer in the space provided below. I'll give about 90 seconds or so to think this through. Okay. So my personal answer here is similar to what was discussed, which is cybersecurity extends to various areas such as legal, privacy, ethical considerations, and intellectual property. How do I think these fields intersect with cybersecurity? Cybersecurity will affect them in similar and different ways in the sense that there are basic tenets that we have to follow. For example, the CIA Triad, we need to keep the information confidential, make sure the integrity is there. In other words, it hasn't been changed, and keep it available. but then there will be specifics to those industries in terms of risk treatment. How will we handle risk? In some cases, we'll accept the risk. In some cases, we'll avoid the risk entirely. In some cases, we will mitigate the risk. So it depends on the field. And then we will go ahead with compliance. Finance has its compliance rules. HR has its compliance rules. Healthcare has its compliance rules. All part of cybersecurity, different treatments or different tools, depending on what area that we're working with or why it's part of the department. And why are they important? Some of them is just simply the right thing to do. In some cases, if we don't do the right thing, there are financial penalties or operational penalties if we don't follow the rules. Okay. Couple more minutes before we take another break. I think it's important to give a mental and physical break so that way we can walk about the cabin. We take breaks where appropriate and as needed. I think that was a interesting topic, GRC. But before we go on break, let me pause here for a quick check-in to see how everybody's doing. If there's any questions, any thoughts, or anything that would require some clarification. I'm looking at the chat as well. Okay. Okay, good. I see all kinds of questions in here. All right. So first question, let's go ahead. Peter, yes, please come off mic.
Yeah, sorry, I'm not really asking a question about the lecture. I'm finding it difficult to access the chat. So I'm not seeing the chat and the link you've been posting. So I'm not able to respond to them and all that. So I don't know how I missed it out.
I'm sorry about that. So I'm sorry, was that more of a tech issue that you don't have access to the Slack?
Okay, my Slack is opened differently on another browser. I'm using the Zoom app for the class. The Slack is open on another browser. I went to the Slack and checked. I couldn't see the chat there. Yeah. I don't know if I'm not doing it correctly.
Let's see. I think Axel has a solution.
Yeah, thanks, friends. I'll quickly step in. So, Peter, we don't use the Zoom chat just because you'll probably lose access to whatever we share in the Zoom chat. Instead of that, we use like the live chat channel inside of
Okay.
the Slack workspace, if that makes sense. We do advise
Yeah.
y'all to have kind of, both open. Maybe in your computer, you can have your Zoom, and then maybe on your phone, you can even download the Slack where you can type to kind of go
Okay.
over both. Yeah, both platforms.
Thank you. So I'll just go ahead and download it now. Thank you very much.
Yeah, for sure. Have a good one.
Yeah, thank you for answering that, Axel, and thank you, Peter, for raising that.
I think another thing that can help him is if you just click on the live session, he will be able to see the charts. He's not gotten there.
There's another question. I want to pronounce that Aulu. If you don't mind coming off mute, help me pronounce your name, and also you can ask your question then.
My name is Olusegun. My question is a bit technical, if I should use that word, because information security, we're hearing cybersecurity, and I'm going to ask this question as somebody who wants to be an information security analyst. What stack of software are you meant to understand, and what operating system are you supposed to get used to? Because in one of the time you were speaking about the lecture, you said something about password reset, password policy. I think based on some of the readings I've done, these are words used in, I think, Windows System Administrator. I've had that a lot there. So I'm a bit confused. I'm here, there, and that's why I was trying to see probably I could make sense of the whole thing together at the end of the class, but it's all over the place. There are different terminologies I'm hearing from different places, and I would want you to just give us a summary of what we're looking at.
Yeah, that's a great question, and thank you for raising it. So let me approach this a couple of ways. One is the operating systems that you will run into as you continue in this field will vary. And so many times when I answer, I'm going to say it depends. So one of the it depends is on the back end in terms of servers. And I'm just going to use Amazon Web Services as an example. Many of the systems that we're working on are on Linux operating systems. There are different distributions of Linux, which we can talk about a little bit later, but Linux is an operating system, free open source. That's going to be the backend systems. Many of the users will be on Windows, Windows 10 or Windows 11. And then you may have some creators who are working on Mac, like in marketing departments or web development. So we call that the triple crown. So all of the above, but not necessarily equally weighted. Linux on the back ends, there'll be Windows too. Windows in most environments, in student hospitals, corporations, and then a smaller niche of Mac operating systems. In terms of the password policy, what we were referring to is more of a general approach. You will see this both on desktop operating systems, the password policy, and they can be administered on desktops, but also on cloud services as well. And I used Google as an example, but AWS, Azure, you will log into systems, and those systems will have password policies that are managed on the back end, and that back end system is usually an identity access management system. So another way of saying this, user experience is going to be desktops, Windows, and Mac. Backend systems are going to be Linux. Password policy will be on everything that you need to authenticate to. So that's one way. I hope that answers part of it, but happy to circle back if we need additional clarification on it.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think that sums it up. Cloud, then okay, yes, that makes sense. That makes sense. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for asking it. I see a couple more, ethical hacker. I tell you what, we're at the top of the hour, and the reason why I like the clean breaks is because we have a few more topics. We're at let me see where exactly. We're doing great on time, but I also want to respect people's time and moving around a bit. Let's take a 5-minute break. It'll take us to 5 minutes after the hour. We'll come back, do a couple of questions on I see in the live session chat, and we just have a couple of more topics to discuss before we get to the bottom of the hour. So, Axel, I like the music that you had before. I know we were taking music selections, but I thought you had really good music there. So we'll take a 5-minute break. We'll be back at 5 minutes after the hour. And then when the music stops and the timer stops, we'll start promptly at 5 minutes after the hour. Back, and I see that the folks are back. I see the smiley emojis. And a couple of quick questions here. All right. Excellent, excellent. Okay.
Yes, join back.
Thank you for that. Appreciate it. So comments, I see CIA and GRC, depending on the organization, the team must adhere to these policies. Agreed. The CIA Triad is more of the cyber side of things, which is that we want to maintain the confidentiality, integrity, and availability. And the governance, risk, and compliance is making sure we're managing risks. We want to make sure we have a process and strategy to align with the organization's objectives. That's the governance. And the compliance is making sure that we are adhering and aligning to compliancy and regulations. Okay, some comments in here in the legal issues, so this is good. Okay, so I see a number of, oh, yeah, I like the TA is great. This is perfect. I thank you for that, Anda. This is a great emojis that gives some context to the emojis. Yes, we'll circle back on a lot to process. So this will be, I'll move some of these towards the wrap up, which is explain what we mean by a lot of process. Yes, I'll definitely come back to that in the closing comments. So in the meantime, I'm going to look at comparing privacy and security. So we're on 11, which is as Anthony delved deeper into his role at Big Tech, he found himself in the midst of a vital discussion, balancing the intricate dynamics of privacy and security. The company's expansion meant an increase in customer data, necessitating a delicate balance between safeguarding and respecting privacy. So during a team briefing, they were having their discussions. Let me scroll down a bit here. I think I have capabilities here. And if not, actually, I may need to scroll down a bit. I'm not sure if I have remote control this time around. You may have to, yeah, I think I can request it as well. Okay. And the idea here is that the privacy or the individual rights of users, specifically personally identifiable information. So that's something that we want to continue in terms of making sure that individual users, their information is kept private, but we also have to make sure that it stays secure. So the idea is that we want to make sure as cybersecurity professionals that things like your birthday, which are personally identifiable information, that's the privacy side of things, your phone number, social security number, there are very specific pieces of data that are associated with individuals, and that's important to make sure that we maintain the privacy of those specific individuals. The cybersecurity is on the making sure that that information or just the regular information is not made disclosed, or there aren't any changes. And of course, we want to make sure that it's available to different users as well when they need the access to it. And I'm not seeing the scroll scene here. Maybe I have access, I'm not sure. Oh, there we go. Thank you. Excellent. So expansion of data collection, something we call minimization. So you see here, the Chief Information Security Officer highlighting the increase in data collection due to expanded increases. So we collect a lot more data about users at this point. And sometimes to respect users' privacy, we will aggregate or anonymize the data. We need the data, but we don't have to say we have 1,000 users and give the specific names of the users. Simply saying we have 1,000 users or 1,000 subscribers is good enough to maintain the privacy of users. Also, encryption. Encryption is a way of scrambling the data so that way there's no unauthorized access in that data unless you have the encryption or the access keys. So that's the privacy side of things. Now, there are some data protection laws that we have to follow. So some of them is something called data sovereignty, which is where is the data created and also located. So the US has some data protection laws. The European Union has some called General Data Protection Rules, or GDPR. So there are different rules depending on where the data is resides, created, or transferring that we may have to adhere to. And there are different rule sets. So we'll take a look at a couple of them. The one part here is a revelation in privacy and security. So this is Anthony on his continued journey. One enlightening day, while working on the data transfer protocol, Anthony had a conversation with Big Tech's privacy officer. Yes, there's someone who manages all of this. You see, Anthony, privacy and security are two sides of the same coin, she said, her words echoing the complexity of their task. Privacy ensures personal data is used in a way that respects individual rights. That's the example when I mentioned we have 1,000 subs. I don't have to put the names or the email addresses of the 1,000 subs, while security protects it from external threats. This is the CIA Triad, making sure people don't disclose that information. We need both to build trust with our users and comply with global regulations. And they may change depending on where the data resides or data sovereignty. The dialogue was a revelation for Anthony. He began to perceive his role in a new light. It wasn't just about defending the company against cyber threats. It was about being a guardian of individual rights. So yes, we want to make sure that people's information, because once it's out there, your social security number or personally identifiable information, health records, date of birth, so on and so forth, is next to impossible or very difficult to pull back. Anthony's journey at Big Tech transformed into a mission to create an environment where customer data was not only secure, but respected. We don't want to be cavalier in terms of sharing that information, so we want to respect customer data and privacy. And it was transformed into a mission to create an environment where data was not only secure from external threats, but also handled with the utmost respect for privacy. As big tech navigated through the digital landscape, Anthony's role evolved significantly. He became an advocate for balancing privacy and security, understanding the critical need for both in the rapidly evolving digital world. So we see that Anthony is evolving, as mentioned. So we have a quick discussion question. We'll take about a minute. It says, discuss the pros and cons of the CIA Triad, confidentiality, integrity, and availability, in regarding to ensuring cybersecurity. Again, no wrong answer here, just something to get you thinking. And I'll give us about 45 seconds or so to think this through.
Yeah. For CIA triads, like confidentiality, data should be confidential, shouldn't be shared with anybody who has unauthorized access, and integrity, like uh, one thing can work with another thing. I think so. And availability means it is be available when it is required.
Nicely done. Nicely done. Great answer. And yours may be similar or vary, but yes, confidentiality. I'll give an example of confidentiality. We may need to record or create, let's say, credit card information for users. We want to keep that confidential. But in terms of privacy, we also may decide that we have to mask that data and only ask for the last 4 digits of your credit card number, or when it's printed, it's masqueraded or it's blocked or redacted. So we want to make sure that, yes, we have it. Unauthorized access is prevented, but also when we present that data to, let's say, even internal team members, we respect the privacy of that user as well. So yes. Okay, from IT to cyber, coffee break revelations here. Months later, as autumn or the fall, goldens hues adorned the trees outside the big tech offices, Anthony and Jenna found themselves sharing a coffee break, reflecting on the journey so far. Do you remember when all of this was just new and overwhelming for me? Anthony mused, taking a sip of his coffee. Jenna chuckled, absolutely. But look at you now. You're discussing encryption and privacy laws like it's second nature. Yeah, Anthony has evolved. Realizing the impact, Anthony smiled, a sense of pride in his voice. It's more than just troubleshooting now. I feel like I'm part of something bigger, safeguarding an organization's future. Yes, he's part of the team, doing those things we mentioned. He's here for the business. Jenna nodded in agreement. You've become an indispensable to the team, indispensable member. Future aspirations. Feeling inspired, Anthony shared his future aspirations. There's so much more to learn, and I'm thinking of diving deeper into cyber, maybe taking some advanced courses, like what we're doing here. And not just that, he continued, I've been thinking about leading a team someday, so he probably wants to do professional development or management, sharing what he's learned, just like you did with me. So it looks like Jenna has been his mentor. Anthony has been a good mentee. Jenna smiled. I see a bright future ahead for you. Just remember, the field is always evolving, and so should we. That's what makes this so exciting. Every 6 months or so, we get to reinvent ourselves because the technology reinvents itself. And as mentioned, wherever there's IT, there's a need for cybersecurity. So even if I was a cybersecurity expert today on today's technology, 6 months from now, I need to keep upskilling and topping that off. That's what makes it exciting. It's fresh, it's interesting, and there's always emerging technologies, which means that there are also emerging opportunities on the cybersecurity side. Looking ahead, Anthony nodded thoughtfully. I want to be a part of that evolution, not just adapting, but innovating, maybe even developing new strategies for data protection. As they finished their coffee and stood up to return to their desks, Jenna offered a parting thought. You've just started, Anthony. There's a whole world of IT and cyber out there waiting for you. Ready for whatever comes next, Anthony replied confidently, stepping back into his bustling world of big tech. His journey in the vast and vital world of IT and cyber was just beginning. With every new challenge and every step forward, he was not only navigating the field, but also helping to shape it. Secure private data, one byte at a time, a defender of the galaxy. So some conclusions as we start to wrap up a bit and get into some Q&A. So core skills and knowledge, troubleshooting and problem solving. So Anthony's initial role was essentially an entry-level position at the service desk, dealing with password administration and password resets. And then his role evolved. Then he got into understanding IT, information security, and cybersecurity, which is InfoSec, as mentioned, was securing the data in whatever form it is, usually non-digital. The Coca-Cola example, which is we have the Coca-Cola formula on a bar napkin or on a notepad, that still has to be secured. Maybe putting it in a vault or something we call the clean desk policy, which is I wouldn't want to have sensitive data on my desk if people are coming in and out of my office. That's information security. As soon as it's digitized, it becomes cybersecurity because we want to make sure that we maintain the CIA Triad. Excuse me. The awareness and compliance. We talked quickly about phishing and cybersecurity training, which is, hold on a quick second here. Okay, so awareness and compliance, phishing and cybersecurity, which is phishing was someone impersonating being something that they're not, trying to get us to do something we shouldn't. And we saw some emails, examples of that. And the cybersecurity training was not just for the tech staff, but it's also for our users in HR, legal, and finance. One of the examples was the poster that we saw, which said, do you know how to spot a fish? Sometimes it's called cybersecurity awareness training, or CAT for short. Then we talked about GRC, governance, risk, and compliance. Governance is aligning the strategy of the organization to meet the objectives of the organization. Risk was how do we manage risk? We can accept it, we can avoid it, we can reduce it, or we can transfer it to someone else. So we talked about the risk, and compliance is making sure that whatever industry we're in compliance with that. So if you're in the credit card industry, there's payment credit card insurance or data security standards. So you have PCI DSS, or if you're in the healthcare, there's HIPAA. So there are these regulatory agencies that some organizations have to be in compliance with. Cyber and IT make sure that we are in compliance, or something I call, we talk the talk, can we walk the walk, to make sure that we have an alignment. Then on the professional growth and personal side of it, we have privacy concerns and continuous learning to make sure that information like personally identifiable information, social security, date of birth, financial information, healthcare, that is anonymized. So we do have to protect that data, but also want to use it responsibly. And we also looked at some IT career choices using CyberSeek, whether you want to look at being on the auditing side, whether you want to be on the cybersecurity analyst side, the security operations center, the network administrator like Jenner, which is the data in flight, whether it's at rest, in transit, or in use, or you want to go on the management side like a chief information security officer. So those links will take you through the trunk of IT and then those specific branches. And then other key takeaways. It's okay to admit when we don't know something, right? So we're constantly evolving. So these are takeaways for all of us. Even as I mentioned, if you are a cyber expert today, July 2nd, 6 months from now, our information needs to be refreshed because there are emerging technologies. So we need to know the emerging strategies from a cyber perspective. Always stay curious. There were no silly questions. The only silly questions are the ones that are not asked, right? So if you have a question, there are chances are that someone else on the call has the question as well, or a different perspective on it. Also, the troubleshooting mindset, we are solutions providers, solution architects. And it says Google is your friend, or any search engine. You can use Bing as well, but any search engine is your friend, or generative AI. We can ask Gemini, ChatGPT. There are a number of generative AI tools out there that can help you get some information. But remember the academic integrity principle, which is avoid plagiarism. Use your own work. This is to give you a co-pilot, which is adjacent AI, adjacent Google searches, adjacent Bing searches. It points you in the right direction, but it has to be your own work. And tech is not a get-rich-quick scheme. It requires dedication at work. Yeah, it's going to take some time. We're using the spiraling effect, where we're defining these acronyms. We're defining these terms, but this is not the last time you will see these terms. We will talk about the CIA Triad and GRC for governance, risk, and compliance. We'll continue to build on these topics and look at them from different perspectives. And cybersecurity involves more than just hacking. It's not just red teaming or the adversaries or malicious actors. There are defenders of the galaxy, the blue teamers, which in my role, I'm more on the blue team. I'm trying to make sure that everything stays on track following the CIA principles. So this is us here. We have time. This is the end of the presentation deck. There are some opportunities for some questions that are in